This is the meeting of the Mashpee Planning Board, Tuesday, September 14th, 2021, in the Wacoit Meeting Room, Mashpee Town Hall, 16 Great Neck Road North, Mashpee, Massachusetts, 02649. It is 7 o'clock. We're broadcast live on local channel 18, streamed live on the Town of Mashpee website, www.mashpeema.gov/channel-18. I'd ask you all to please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is Mary on?
Yeah.
No, I did.
Who's Mary?
Thank you. We will start with public discussion, and the first on the list, John Musko. Come on up. I think it has to stay on.
Yes, can you hear?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
I'm John Paul Musko. I live at Deer Crossing. My address is 9 Shellback Way. It conflicts with the address as proposed. I was here 3 years ago whenever the same issue came up with the other agency that tried to come in there at that location. And the board, I appealed, and the board voted that night that they were not going to allow that 9 Shellback Way to proceed under that guideline, I guess, for admission into the building. I don't know. I don't know what to say. It's my address on my driver's license, and all our legal papers are all 9 Shellback Way, Unit 9B or B9. And the board voted that night that they would not. They recognized that as my address and would not allow that to be served to the building proper if the building continues. I'm concerned about that, obviously, for a mix-up. And I have another concern with the, I guess it'll be discussed tonight. I'm not going to steal anybody's thunder. I am concerned with the Shellback Way entrance, especially around the Ace and the bank, Ace Hardware and the bank. It's a pinhole there. I don't know how much you've seen of it. The stop sign is hidden. There's bushes there, which should have already been cleared. It's very dangerous anyway. It's almost illegal to come in and out of there because the space is so narrow and it's marked off zone-wise for traffic. So it's a squeeze just to get in and out. So I hope the board and the people will address that, because I find that to be a very big concern if that's going to be an entrance to, if it does pass, to the grocery store across the street, crossing over and so on.
Yeah.
So I appeal to the board to correct or modify or something the address for the grocery store, because it conflicts with ours. I don't want to have two addresses, obviously.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just make a point really quick?
Go ahead.
For the folks that are here tonight, probably interested in speaking on one of the advertised public hearings, either for South Cape Village special permit modification or for the proposed grocery store off 9 Shellback, as the gentleman was referring to, /647 Falmouth Road. To the latter, for the property address is 9 Shellback Way. That is, as noticed in the public hearing notification, a mandatory referral as a development of regional impact to the Cape Cod Commission. So the board tonight, and thank you, sir, for your comments, and I can assure you that we do have an address working group in town. We diligently try to ensure that there are no conflicting addresses for the purposes of fire safety. So that'll be rectified. Most certainly, I can state that definitively. But I would ask, for the purpose of public discussion, Mr. Chair, if it's okay, that if your comments are relative to an advertised public hearing, that you wait for the opening of that public hearing to address the board. because there is a time advertised, and that public hearing will be opened, and there'll be more than enough time for the board to, A, entertain your questions, and B, respond to those questions, as well as the applicants to represent themselves. So, again, that public hearing for 9 Shellback will open at 7:10.
Thank you, Evan. Next up, Kimberly Yout?
Hi.
Hi, Kimberly.
My concern is the traffic problem, which will be huge, privacy problem, with taking out all the trees and having the parking lot backed up to our backyards isn't going to be a good thing. I very rarely, if ever, lock my door, and now I'm going to have to start locking my door all the time, even if I go to somebody else's house. It's just not going to be safe. We need to put
Thank-
up some type of barrier or some type of motion detecting lighting system between them and us.
Could I just clarify, who's them?
Them would be the grocery store.
Okay, let me make sure everybody understands. What Evan just said was the public hearing for the grocery store starts at 7:10. And if your comments are specific to the grocery store, let's wait till the public hearing
Okay.
so that the applicant can make a presentation and
Okay.
respond. Okay?
Thank you.
I need to
correct?
clarify, the board is only going to be making referral of this project to the Cape Cod Commission.
Correct.
There'll be no deliberations by the board, nor will public comment be accepted tonight.
Okay.
I want to urge the board, or excuse me, those in attendance, that following the commission's review as a development of regional impact, it will be referred back to the board, whereas public comment and deliberations will resume. But as a mandatory referral, the board will make a motion, or I will recommend they make a motion to continue the public hearing until such time as the commission has rendered a decision to that petition.
So it gets referred to the commission, then it comes back to us, then that's the opportunity for public comment.
Can you just let them know how long that process takes?
It'll be months. It'll be months, and as general practice, those abutters within 300 feet of the property will receive another notification from me when when the deliberations will resume at the board level.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes?
can I ask a question of Evan?
Sure.
When something gets referred to the Cape Cod Commission, does the Cape Cod Commission hold public hearings as well?
Yes.
And do you know if the same abutters will be notified of the Cape Cod Commission public hearing?
They will.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Did you hear that?
Everyone hear that?
Okay, the Cape Cod Commission will have public hearings. We'll refer this mandatory referral to the Cape Cod Commission. During their review, they will allow for public comment and public hearings as they're reviewing it, and then it comes back to us. So there's really two opportunities for public discussion.
And they'll notify all the abutters
As well.
when the public hearings are gonna be. So you'll have a chance to speak there and
And
here.
back here. And it's probably, as Evan said, it's months-long process, multiple months, probably. Okay? I got a minute.
Yeah, sorry, we sucked a little bit of wind out of
That's
that
okay.
discussion.
How about if we approve the meeting minutes we'll go back to public comment after the public hearings, because I don't want to get started and then have to cut somebody off. Let's approve the meeting minutes for September 1st. Everybody has a copy of those.
As you know, Edna. Make a
I
mo-
have a comment, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
On page 7, amended motion, it says, comma, as required by NEPA. I'd like a clarification that that as required by NEPA is referring to the environmental impact report, not the traffic study.
Could you repeat that, Mary?
Oh, I'm sorry, sure. So on page 7, in bold, amended motion. I made an amended motion,
Yep.
and the last, phrase says, comma, as required by NEPA. That refers to the environmental impact report, because that's the MIPA environmental impact report, not the traffic study.
Okay, yep, got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, with that change, any other comments, questions? Can I have a motion to approve?
So be with the change to the amended motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Mary Wagon votes aye.
Okay, I'm going to open the public hearing. The applicant, Longfellow Design Build, 9 Shellback Way, 647 Falmouth Road, Route 28, requesting a special permit to construct a 12,500 square foot commercial building to be used for retail grocery sales on a 4-acre plus or minus parcel located at property addressed as 9 Shellback Way, Mashpee, Massachusetts, 02649. This application is made pursuant to sections 174-24C1 and under section 174-25E1 and 174-25E2. This proposal triggers a mandatory referral to the Cape Cod Commission for review as a development of regional impact. Do I have a motion to
Continue the public hearing.
continue, recommend?
To refer the project for
Refer the project.
review as a development of regional impact.
So be.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, you know what, Rob? Mary, you're still on, right?
Yeah, I
Okay,
can,
South
I'm going to stay on this 710 one, sure, I'm
Okay,
here.
good, okay,
So I vote affirmative to refer to the Cape Cod Commission.
okay.
And additionally, I need a motion to continue until the project has, a decision has been rendered by the commission.
Make a motion to continue till we get the findings from the Cape Cod Commission.
Second?
We're gonna continue it, the public hearing. We're gonna continue it with the public hearing till the Cape Cod Commission comes back to us, and then the public hearing will start again, and you'll be notified to be in the paper and stuff.
Do we have a second? Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mary Wagon votes aye.
Thank you. Okay, we got, let's go back to public comment. Next on the list, and I apologize, I can't read the last name, Vera? Oh, that's me. Yeah. Come on up.
Okay, I live at 2 Shellback Way, and I'm really concerned about this on 2 levels. One is the traffic. I don't know if any of you have been there, but there's already a bottleneck. It's a very small stretch of road. And to be egress in and out, and I know this is, I know, I happen to know what the commercial building is, because it's already on their website. I don't know if you know that.
I don't, I didn't know if
It is.
anybody else did.
You can look it up. Trader Joe's in Mashpee. Okay? It's there. Anyway, egress in and out of there, that's impossible. That is going to be hell. Never mind all the trees coming down and all the people that back up right up to our yards. I guess that's going to be secondary. But really, the traffic situation there is going to be bad. And I'm saying, why can't they have egress if this is going to go through out to Jobs Fishing Road?
Can I say something?
Sure, go right ahead.
Years ago, there was a project going there, and they asked Mashpee Commons if they could come out to Job Fisher Road.
Okay.
And Mashpee Commons said, no way. So that project died.
Well, good for them.
You know, but that would have been the best thing for them to let them come on Job
It would have been.
Fisher's Road, but Mashpee Commons said no, so.
We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Just,
So this is a problem. This is a conundrum. This is a problem, guys. It really, truly is. Because it's not feasible. It just isn't. Unless we do something with the road system, we have to. That's what we're going to be faced with. Let me tell you, it's there.
Thank you.
And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
thank you.
Evan, did you?
I would just, caution the board has voted to refer the project, so refrain from offering any additional opinions or comments until such time as the public hearing resumes.
Thank you. Okay. Mary and Jeff Frisia?
Not only are the problems that have been mentioned
Oh, boy.
are to be considered, but the other problems is water waste. And right now, you're developing, it's moving forward to have new sanitary facility, but it's not there. When is it going to be there? It's probably going to be there years from now, not now. And what are you going to do in the meantime? Dilute our water? Have a problem with that?
Are we still talking about the grocery store?
Pardon?
Are we still talking about the grocery store?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, because that's a new structure. They're going to have use of a lot of resources, and that's what I'm talking about. And that has to be addressed and concerned. And I know that the treatment plan it's in the works, but it's going to be years. This we're talking about is now. So that's what the problem is. So that's my comment.
Thank you. All right, do we have time for one more? Fane Gilday?
I was just signing in, I don't have any comments.
Oh, thank you. Marjorie Hecht?
Good evening.
Hi, Marjorie.
Hi. First, what avenues are being pursued by the planning board to ensure that developers will build the kind of housing Mashpee needs, specifically year-round housing for middle and lower-income families? Based on its record, Mashpee Commons is not a reliable partner to do this. Under their existing 40B permit, they could right now build 96 affordable units out of 382. But they chose not to because, as they said flatly in this room, it's not profitable. It's clear that the bottom line for Mashpee Commons is profit, not providing the housing we need. The town now has 2 projects for affordable housing in the works, Falmouth Road and Commercial Street. Are there other parcels that the town owns or could acquire that could be for mixed income housing? This is one way to ensure that the town gets the housing it needs. My other question concerns a moratorium on any building that increases the town's nitrogen output until the town's sewer program is accelerated and completed. As Brian Howes told the Select Board, Mashpee's waters are already in a nitrogen emergency. Why increase the nitrogen burden? A moratorium would give the town time to plan remedies without further jeopardizing our water bodies. If no one can swim or fish in Mashpee waters, who would want to come here? And then where would we be? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll get back to public comment after we've the second public hearing. DPF Mashpee LLC, South Cape Village Center located between Route 28, Donna's Lane, and Great Neck Road South, requesting a special permit modification to construct a 4,860-foot square foot commercial building to be used for 2 retail tenants in the development identified as South Cape Village Shopping Center. The planning board approved the South the South Cape Village Shopping Center as a 160,000 square foot commercial center on May 2nd, 2001. The special permit decision has been modified periodically over the past 20 years and has included and shown the future location of Building G being contemplated in the request for a special permit modification.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello. Good evening, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mary?
Yeah, so if it's okay with the applicant, this is Mary Wagon. I don't think I can stay for the entire presentation, and there's a chance might finish today, so I'd like to not sit on this matter. And
Okay.
I've recommended to the chair that our alternate member be seated.
That's fine. So we're going to seat Rob.
Do we need an alternate member? We have a four-member board.
For a special permit, you need,
You do?
you need,
You need all
you need 4 out of 5 votes, so the applicant would probably request, I don't want
That
to
would be
assume
great.
that you have a 5-member board.
Okay, thank you, Evan.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. For the record, my name is Eliza Cox, and I'm an attorney with the firm of Nutter, McLennan, and Fish on behalf of the applicant. Can you hear me okay with the
Yeah.
mask? Okay, great. Joining me today is Miles Ostroff from Charter Realty and Development. Miles is sitting behind me. His company manages the shopping center. To my left at the table is Matt Eddy from Baxter Nye Engineering, who's the project engineer on the project. And behind me to my right is Hernan Pagan, who's the project architect from Phase Zero Design. Just by way of background, and I thought your notice did a nice job of summarizing this, but I wanted to remind the board of the procedural history, which is quite lengthy for the project. In fact, I have a permit notebook that has 37 decisions between the town and the Cape Cod Commission relating to this property. So this shopping center was originally permitted by the town of Mashpee in May of 2001 as a commercial center with up to 160,000 square feet of space. There have been numerous modifications locally over the last 20 years before this planning board as the design was tweaked as buildings were coming online in accordance with the original special permit. In addition, at the Cape Cod Commission, the project triggered a development of regional impact review by the commission. It was originally granted by the commission in December of 2000 when the commission approved a 160,000 square foot outlet shopping center, outlet mall. Subsequent to the commission's approval, there were 2 major modifications at the Cape Cod Commission in 2003, 2005, which reflect the change from an outlet center to the shopping center that exists now on the site. And also at the Cape Cod Commission, there have been numerous minor modifications of the decision. We did see in public comment there was some question about whether the Cape Cod Commission decision is still valid as it relates to this project. The answer is yes, it is. In October of 2015, we sought an extension from the Cape Cod Commission of the DRI permit, which was granted, extending the decision until March 31st, 2021. In addition, as the board is likely familiar, as a result of the COVID, the legislature created an act that basically told the time period by which permits get extended during the state of emergency that was in existence here in the Commonwealth. And we have communication and confirmation from the Cape Cod Commission that told the Cape Cod Commission decision, which now is set to expire on July 6, 2022. So that decision remains in effect. With reference to what was permitted, so as I mentioned, this site has gone through both the town and the Cape Cod Commission, allowing 160,000 square feet of a commercial shopping center spread out over 8 designated building areas, which are noted on the master plan as buildings A through H, together with numerous site improvements, landscaping, parking, roadways, septic, drainage, and other site improvements and required mitigation. What exists on the ground right now is about 147,000 square feet, so well less than the 160 that have been approved. There are 7 buildings that exist on the ground right now, and they're noted as buildings A through F and building H. And obviously, there are many site improvements that exist. What we're seeking tonight is approval of so-called Building G, which is one of the original buildings that was permitted on the master plan. It's located approximately at the corner of Charles Street and South Street. If you've gone back through some of the older decisions, you'll see reference to Shellback Way. That used to be what Charles Street is now. So originally it was called Shellback Way on the initial permits. When that road was actually laid out, it was laid out as Charles Street. Again, looking back at the historic approvals for Building G, the original approval that was approved by this board and the Cape Cod Commission showed a footprint of about 10,000 square feet for Building G. In 2017, as the board may recall, when we were before you for the home goods special permit modification, we were proposing some additional parking spaces, 11 parking spaces, very close to where this Building G pad was located. At the same time, those plans also showed the shrinking of the footprint for Building G to about almost 6,000 square feet, 5,996 square feet. Those were again on the 2017 home goods plans that were approved by the board. What we're proposing now, and I'll have Matt walk through the plan in just a moment, is a single-story building consisting of approximately 4,860 square feet. So again, we're getting smaller. It's about 5,100 square feet less than what was originally approved with this shopping center, and about 1,100 square feet less than what was approved and shown on the home goods permitting plans. With this new building, the total floor area of the shopping center will be about 152,000 square feet. So again, well within the parameters of what had already been approved, and in fact, less than what has already been approved by this board and by the Cape Cod Commission. So what I'd like to do right now is turn it over to Matt just to sort of walk you through the plans and orient you, and then I will wrap up with the presentation.
Great.
All righty, thank you, Liza. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Just for the record, Matthew Eddy, professional engineer with Baxter Nye Engineering and Surveying. I think from the site perspective, it's fairly straightforward. Liza hit on a lot of the main items, but just to quickly highlight, just from a site layout standpoint, as Liza mentioned, it's at the corner of Charles Street and South Street, which is on the southerly side of the South Cape Village Plaza. The site currently has really all the utilities available at the site. There is an on-site wastewater treatment plant, as I'm sure you're all aware, which is under a groundwater discharge permit. Water stubs, electric, gas, and sewer stubs are all at the Pad G site already. So we'll be simply making connections to those existing utilities. From the site layout standpoint, as Liza said, it's the proposed building is 4,860 square feet. It's proposed as 2 retail spaces for 2 retail tenants. Access into the site will be off of South Street. There's a loading dock that's proposed on the easterly end of the proposed building. The parking, as Liza mentioned when we were did home goods, we expanded the parking in that area. This was actually part of, contemplated for the ultimate Building G pad site at that point in time. There is some slight reconfiguration of the existing parking that's on the ground right now. We're losing 2 parking spaces there overall. We're providing 780 parking spaces across the entire plaza. And from our just a calculation overall from a plaza standpoint, that's 5.1 parking spaces per 1,000 square feet, which is a fairly significant and in excess of typical standards for plazas. As far as the handicap space that's existing out there, again, that was intended for the Building G pad site. When we didn't know what the building footprint was going to be when those spaces were added, at that point, it was contemplated that the entrance to Building G would be on that easterly end. Now, with the actual footprint and the 2 tenant spaces, the entrances, there's 2 entrances that are located more central to the building. So the handicap space has just been relocated so that it's the shortest feasible distance to those entrances. So that's the reasoning for that. And again, it was really just It's just, as part of the construction of the building, that existing parking area is just going to get torn up, obviously, during construction, so it's just getting renovated as part of that construction process. There'll be a little bit of grading that occurs on the westerly end of the parking lot from what exists out there now to address the handicap space slope requirements. But other than that, again, I think it's fairly straightforward. Stormwater management and drainage-wise, all of the runoff is being contained on site. We submitted a stormwater management report, which Mr. Pesci reviewed and has commented on. We're tying into the existing stormwater facilities that were contemplated and designed and installed as part of the overall master project. Because of the final footprint and topography, there was a small portion of the proposed building that we could not get over to the existing stormwater management system number 9, so we proposed a couple of additional leaching basins to capture that runoff. And again, through a 100-year storm, there's no release from those leaching basins. And then, I'm not sure if Liza mentioned, she may have, but we've gone through, obviously, plan review and design review and received approval from both of those committees. There was some minor comments on the landscaping plan, which we'll be making some modifications to that. It was basically just replacing the vegetation that's being proposed on the lattice. It's going to become a climbing hydrangea, and then we're also going to add the island that's on the easterly end of the 10 parking spaces. Currently, we don't show that there's any landscaping in there. We're going to add a little bit of landscaping there with some grasses and some shrubs. So. And then just, again, going through Mr. Pesci's comment letter, I think from the, and I guess Liza will probably get into it a little bit more as needed, but from a overall setback standpoint, my involvement in this project, which has been fairly lengthy, 2005 or so, there's been many modifications of the special permit, as we all know, going through the process. And we actually have, we're at, 4.6 feet, I believe, is what we're requesting off of. And that's just off of the a paper layout for Charles Street, which is an internal road. It's not one of the perimeter roads. And it's actually greater than the setbacks over at Roach Brothers, when we redid the bump out along Commercial Street at Roach Brothers. It's actually, that's only about 1.2 feet off of the layout. So from a setback standpoint internally, I think it's in keeping with what the special permit and South Cape Village always has been. The overall perimeter setbacks, if you will, from Route 28 and Donna's Lane, those are all maintained per the original approvals. And then Mr. Pesci commented on the parking aspect as far as the elimination of the 2 and the relocation of the handicap space. I think I addressed that. And he's recommended adding a note for the 90-degree cutoff for black sky ordinance. Absolutely, that's not a problem at all. We can add that note to the plan. And then finally, he, on the stormwater management, he just suggested adding a invert elevations on the roof storm drain pipes, and we can absolutely add that as well. So with that, I'll turn that back to Liza.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. So actually, Matt covered a lot of what I was going to, so I won't go into that again unless the board has questions for me. I would just give an update in addition to, as Matt mentioned, the plan review and design review that have already happened locally. We have also filed for a modification at the Cape Cod Commission. Actually, let me take that back. We've also filed the plans with the Cape Cod Commission. Their review is a staff level review for determining that the building is generally consistent with the development of regional impact decision. Those paths can happen simultaneously. That's what we've done in the past. I don't have comments yet back from the Cape Cod Commission staff, but that internal staff review is ongoing. In addition, when we submitted the plans to the commission staff for review, just out of abundance of caution, and particularly given that the Cape Cod Commission decisions require their certificates to be issued before the development of regional impact decision expires. So it's not unlike the town where you have to start construction before your permit, to sort of effectuate your permit. The Cape Cod Commission wants all of their certificates, which includes construction of the site, to happen before the DRI decision expires. So we have sought an extension, a further extension of the commission decision. to the extent we need it. So we may not, but just to be cautious and given how difficult it is to construct these days, that's also pending at the commission. So I think that sort of wraps up my presentation. Again, this is something that the site has already approved and authorized, and we're actually seeking to build at this point less than what the board has already approved for the shopping center. And again, the location is generally consistent with the plans that have already been before the board. So I think our whole team is here if you have any questions. We didn't have Hernan go through the design because it was discussed at design review. If it's helpful, we can have him do that. And then obviously Miles is here as well if you have any questions. So thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Questions? Go ahead, Dennis.
So there's 2 stores and there's 4,000 square feet?
So it's right. It's laid out to accommodate up to 2 tenants, 2 retail
Because
tenants
before,
as well.
one of the plants I looked at, they had 2 separate buildings. So this is going to be one building.
It's one building. That's right.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's okay. Oh, I thought that was the supermarket. Another thing, where's the dumpster?
It's
Gonna
up
be? I
on
don't see
the,
it.
if you look on
If I look in
the
the-
sheet 3.0, it's in the loading dock area at the rear of the loading dock. I believe that there was also some potential dialogue about the
That's why I wanted to see
sort of
this.
sharing of the dumpster location. Yeah, mate, they're actually looking at, they're thinking that they can actually they can use the dumpster areas that are within the alleyway that exist between building C and D that have the
Yep.
the overhead doors on it. They think they can actually utilize that, so. But if they don't, there is a location shown and it's screened, and that that loading dock area has screening walls, and so.
So the trucks that are going to come in there with supplies, are they going to have a certain time? Like they can't come at 9 o'clock in the morning? They have to be out of there by then, or? I remember we had problems with.
Maybe Miles can speak to
home
that. I
goods.
don't think there's.
I'm not sure I can clearly speak to this at this, I'm sorry. I'll just, okay. Thank you. We do keep options open. All of our leases have language that have rules and regulations
Okay.
that are enforced and put in place by the landlord. So once a tenant is finalized and identified permanently, then we would address their sort of loading requirements at that time.
All right. 'Cause
Yeah, but I'm there a lot of mornings, and we definitely know that it needs to be managed.
Okay. That's all I have.
Good. Anybody else?
Yeah, I got a couple of things. This is the same plan that was presented to the Plan Review Committee?
Yep.
Correct.
So it's going to be sprinkled building still? Okay, because I don't see that.
Sorry,
It's
what
gonna
was
be
the
what?
question?
It's going to be a sprinkled building?
Sprinklered.
Sprinkler, it's going to have a fire protection system. It's going to have fire sprinklers? Okay,
Yes.
all right.
Yep.
And you're talking about potentially using the alleyway dumpster as a potential for some of their, waste?
Just to clarify again, Miles Ostroff here, Charter Realty. The location that we're actually talking about, I didn't want to interrupt. So right now, we're showing the plan with a dumpster in the loading area. As an alternative, we're working with the potential tenant to utilize the 2 dumpsters that are currently in building F2, which is the Wicked building. They're behind the rolling doors. It's a closer location.
On the other side of the parking lot?
I was gonna step up when you were done with that, but, so that's the alternative.
Those are the ones on the other side of the parking lot?
That's correct.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and in both cases, we don't anticipate a heavy trash use.
Right.
For these tenants.
I will, to Dennis's point about trucks and how they deliver things, I know you try to keep track on it, but many of the delivery vehicles do not use that alleyway because of personal vehicle parking, the way the dumpsters, the way products being left in that alleyway. So we see a lot of trucks parked out on South Street. I live right beside there, and I walk that area a lot, and it may be something that you may want to keep an eye on, especially with this construction going on. It may make it even more congested, especially with the, as Dennis pointed out, the morning traffic, because everyone and their mother goes to Dunkin' Donuts there.
That's
So
right.
it is difficult. If you try to coordinate those times a little bit better, I think it'll work out better.
Duly noted. Thank
I have
you.
no other questions.
Go ahead,
I
Rob.
had a question regarding the DRI extension. It looks like it was to expire on March 31st, 2001, and with the Massachusetts Temporary Act, it extended it, and the Cape Cod Commission confirmed that to July 6, 2026. Is that documented in one of your
Yeah, I
submitted?
can submit an email from the Deputy Director of the Cape Cod Commission for
Would
the
appre-
record confirming.
Would
that.
appreciate that.
Sure.
And
So I'll just, I'll hand it in, but I'll read it. It's from Aaron Perry, who's the Deputy Director of the Commission. It says, "Hi, Eliza. I agree with your understanding of the new permit expiration date of July 6, 2022. And then it says, I'm in agreement with John, that's John Eidman's, prior suggestion that it's possible you may obtain an additional extension subject to vote of the CPR, which is the Committee on Planning and Regulation at the Cape Cod Commission." So I'll just submit that for the record.
Thank you.
And it confirms the date.
and it confirms the date, okay.
Thank you. Rob, anything else?
I had I guess a letter was submitted by, is it, where is it? Meredith Kilpatrick. And because the DER involves the whole 160,000 planned development, Meredith brings up a couple of issues that I'm concerned with from a resident point of view of mysterious and continuous runoffs of water collecting in parking lots not adjacent to or within Building G, but within the property proper. And she brings up a couple of points that I would like addressed.
Yeah, I'm actually going to let Miles, who's out on the site all the time, respond to that, because Evan did forward us the correspondence, so we did have the benefit of seeing her
Thank you.
letter.
Thank you, Bart. So I was able to review the letter in advance of this meeting. I first want to say there was some comments in her letter referring to the ownership entity and location of the ownership entity and the management team. And just for the record, ownership, of course, has headquarters based in Denver. That being said, this particular property is overseen by a group based in Hartford, Connecticut. So they're nearby, they're actively involved. Secondly, Charter Realty, which I represent, that handles daily operations and management, oversight of all maintenance items, life safety items, et cetera, and have been involved since 2015 when the property was sold to DBPF Mashpee. Not only are we regional, but we're local at office in Lexington. I've been involved personally as the direct managing agent for the property since 2015. I live in Falmouth, Massachusetts, year-round. I'm there a lot. And to her point specifically, I would just say that I think it's interesting that she took the letter. She has some good observations. Had she reached out to any one of the tenants there, they know me personally, they know how to reach me. I would have addressed this with her directly if given the opportunity. That being said, with regards to the water runoff at the, specifically at the top of the Roach Brothers parking lot, that was the result of irrigation main break. It's fed by well water. It happened. We immediately opened a work order with our local landscaping contractor that handles it, based right out of here in Mashpee. They've had staffing challenges, et cetera. We did try to shut it down intermittently, but to do so during that high heat would have resulted in our lawn dying, our $8,000 of flowers at all the signs. So we made a decision to leave it on while the 50-plus zones ran, turning it off when we could, when we had enough rain to turn it off. It did look terrible. We did discuss it with store managers, so they would understand what it was. Not an ideal situation, but in the height of summer, we kind of made a call to let the system run and bleed while we irrigated the entire property. The landscape design there is quite complex. It was designed by a local landscape architect. It's, the plant materials and selection of all the plants are really like a home design, not just throw a couple trees in. So we really didn't want to risk losing those plants. Problem has been resolved by our local contractor, and it did take a while. That being said, it definitely is not associated with the wastewater treatment facility as she was asking. It looked terrible, but it's done. And there were multiple breaks this summer, irrigation heads and irrigation lines. I think the only other comment that was made that really would pertain to daily operations, she references that an abundance of litter or something along those lines. I don't remember the exact quote. Again, we have another local company that handles our site portering, sweeping, sidewalk blow-offs, litter picking along our property, as well as we actually go outside of the property and go along Donna's Lane. Even though we don't own the parcel across the street, we just do it as a courtesy, and it's not all just stuff from our property, but we want to be a good neighbor. I've reviewed the scope of work with what we're doing. It's swept, the property is swept nightly, sidewalks are blown off weekly. In summer, we blow the sidewalks off twice a week. Trash cans are emptied nightly. We pick the litter as needed a couple times a week. We send out a day porter to actually litter pick out of the bushes and shrubs. Is it always perfect? No. Does it bother me? Yes. Do I deal with it when I can? Absolutely. Do I pick stuff up myself when I'm there? Yep. So anyway, I don't know how to really address that. I don't feel that there's a litter problem per se.
It wasn't answered, at least the way I read. I think you admirably.
Yeah, I mean, so the short story is, we're not some people off in the cloud. I'm very hands-on. I'm there a lot, and I take it very personally. Would I have done the irrigation repair differently? I would have probably hired somebody else, but I was trying to keep it with our local contractor that does all the landscaping for us. They're right around the corner here. Anyway, with that being said, if you have any other questions, I'm happy to answer them if I missed something.
No, I
That
think
was
you
helpful.
answered quite well. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else?
No?
All right, do we have go ahead, Ed.
Mr. Chairman, for the record, again, I'm Ed Pesci of Pesci Engineering, and I have to say that obviously my comments were somewhat based on a lack of the extreme, history of the project, and I think that Attorney Cox and Matt Eddy have answered virtually all my previous engineering comments satisfactorily. I called your attention the 4.2-foot setback. It sounds like there's precedent for that. And I left that to all of you to think through. I made a general comment about the architecture, which I thought was reasonable for this area. I thought it was acceptable, colors and so on. Again, defer to all you. I guess, Matt, if you would, when you send revised plans in, could you just comment like you did verbally here, just add, the fact that there's 780 parking spaces, and that's 5.1 per thousand, and and item one was that I assumed at 160,000 square feet, the original wastewater treatment plant was sized to handle that capacity. Just for the record, I want you to say, yes, it was, and that it's not we're not adding building G and exceeding it for some reason, which I didn't think there was a problem. And pretty much go through your comments and just respond with the addition, with your revised plans, and that's fine.
Will do.
Cover letter for the record, that's all I'm looking for. So, I'm good.
Thank you, Ed. Okay.
At this point, there's not much left for me to add or discuss. Ed covered mostly everything. I haven't seen updated sheets yet. I understand, Matt, you're going to be working on them. I guess I would ask that any recommendation that was made pursuant to the plan review approval, any note or condition that was noted in those approvals be added to the plan, and so I can cite it appropriately in any written decision. You mentioned the updated landscaping plan. Please also include that pursuant to the design review approval. And I want to just note to the board, I was contacted by the applicant yesterday, maybe the day before, relative to the Sherwin-Williams paint store. It's my understanding, and the applicant could confirm that Sherwin-Williams is no longer going to be occupying that space. Things may change. However, I've received an updated architectural elevation, whereas the Sherwin-Williams sign is no longer in the sign band. Bears no impact essentially on how we act on this petition. However, I just wanted to note that sheet will be reflected in the written decision, not the one that shows Sherwin-Williams in the sign band.
Great, thank you. Okay,
Do we close the public hearing?
If there's nothing else, motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion. to
Oh,
close-
wait, excuse me. You do need to give the opportunity for public comment.
Yes.
oh, very good. It's hard for me to tell on the list if anyone has public comment specific to this petition. No? Very good.
Now you can take a
I
motion.
make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second that motion?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now we're gonna make a motion to accept the
Correct.
plan, right?
Correct.
I make a motion to accept the plan as shown.
Do we have a second?
Can you speak louder, sorry?
I just made a motion to accept the plans as shown.
Well, with the conditions that Evan
With
just
the
stipulated.
condition,
There'll be
Engineer.
revised plans submitted.
Correct. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very good.
I will prepare a draft decision. I'll provide it to Eliza for your review, and I'll get it back to the board for signature.
Thank you, Evan.
Thank you very much, and
Thank
thank
you.
you,
Thank
Ed and
you.
Evan as well.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Do you have a card?
I do, yeah.
Can I get one?
I wouldn't mind taking one as well in my capacity in town.
I only have 3, but I got more in the car, and I'll bring them back in.
I can make a copy for him. I see him every day.
I can text message you my ID card if you want.
No, this is fine, this is fine.
Better.
Thank you. I got one.
All set.
Okay, next on the agenda, approval not required.
John, do you want to go back to public discussion
Oh,
before
sure.
we
Yeah, yeah,
go to
yeah.
the A&Rs?
Yep.
I'm sure folks are waiting.
Next up for public comment, Arden Russell.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Arden Russell, Sturgis Lane. First, I want to thank you for hearing the concerns of many citizens and increasing the opportunity for public comment. The very clear takeaway for me from Evan Lair's opinion piece on the build-out was that it is neither thorough nor comprehensive. The true takeaway is that there must be a comprehensive review of all of Mashpee's zoning throughout the entire town in order to solve some of the issues raised. Fortunately, we're about to embark on updating our local comprehensive plan, which affords us this opportunity to do just that. The local comprehensive plan is a citizen-driven, comprehensive approach, not developer-driven. What we must not do is allow a for-profit shopping mall developer to dictate Mashpee's future to us. We cannot rely on a profiteering developer to respond to the community character choices of the town's residents, nor to protect our sensitive historic and ecological resources. Why in the world would we consider a massive zoning change in one location of town on one parcel owned by one developer? That is the exact opposite of comprehensive and thorough. If adding attainable housing stock is our goal, as the memo insinuated, then Mashpee Commons is clearly not the developer we should rely on to achieve that goal based on their history of unfulfilled commitments. As Marjorie mentioned, for 14 years, they've had a permit in hand to build housing for Mashpee. 382 families could be housed right now, 96 of them affordably, and could have been for the past 14 years if Mashpee Commons had built the housing they promised us. Instead, this developer is attempting to reduce the amount of affordable housing. In exchange, we get what? Based on market forces, most likely high-cost seasonal units, exacerbating rather than improving our housing problems. One of the many glaring omissions from the memo is the current work of the Affordable Housing Committee and Affordable Housing Trust in creating additional units. As Marge mentioned, they have 2 projects underway right now that will significantly add to our affordable housing stock. Using municipally owned land is a key to success in addressing housing issues, yet it was ignored and purposely left out of the build-out analysis. Where is the discussion about wastewater? Where is the discussion about traffic impacts? Where is the discussion about effects on municipal services and the environment? The build-out analysis opinion piece is inadequate and falls far short of a complete picture. Thank you.
May I? The build-out analysis was an analysis of the build-out, not, the question was, what would current zoning allow today? It wasn't, what's the traffic impact, it wasn't anything else other than the question was, what does current zoning allow? I believe in Evan's analysis, there was a recommendation, a strong recommendation to advise with the Affordable Housing Committee, and you're welcome to chime in, it's your work. You know, I take exception to the fact that it was an opinion piece. It was actually based in fact, and I thought it was very well done, very thorough, and very comprehensive.
Comments appreciated. It was a data-based memorandum designed to inform the community and you about what the potential is for at build-out. That was the scope of the analysis. So I don't know how to respond.
I would just say if that was the case, there'd be many fewer personal recommendations in there. If it would just be based on fact.
Well, he's the town planner, so he's the professional. We're asking for his recommendations.
Well, then it's an opinion piece. Thank you.
No, it's not. It was based in fact, and it was his recommendations. Lynn Barbie?
Lynn Barbie, Surf Drive. I appreciate the opportunity for dialogue, so I hope you can answer two of my questions tonight. I want to echo something that Arden said. The town planner's position paper from September 1st glaringly omits mention of the 2 town projects, which should have been in there, one in the industrial area and one on Falmouth Road. It may be that they're under the affordable housing, but they should have been mentioned. They will provide low-income housing. It also omits the outstanding 40B permit that Buff Chase currently holds, which also would provide more affordable housing. We need the town and all of its elected representatives and staff to be advocates for the good of the town's residents. Sometimes, it seems that some people are more cheerleaders for Mashpee Commons. The town's residents deserve more loyalty, as our interests may not be identical to those of Buff Chase. So Evan, was this a mere oversight that you left out the 40B and the 2 town projects?
Can I respond, John?
Sure,
Yeah.
please.
I try to be a consummate professional when I offer counsel to this board and when I try to, what I believe to be technical best practice with regard to where this town, in my opinion, can meet the needs of residents.
Right.
I really take issue with the takeaways that I've heard from the past 2 public comments. For the primary, I really care about the future of this town. I grew up here. My grandparents built a house in Johns Pond in the 60s. I've been here my entire life. This matters to me. This bothers me what I'm hearing because I worked very hard on producing a data-driven memorandum so you guys can understand what the impacts of doing nothing means. Now, we can have a discussion and a debate about character and design, but that was not the scope of the memorandum. I can't when you do a build-out analysis, I'm doing a build-out analysis pursuant to the zoning bylaw, what the zoning bylaw permits and allows. The Affordable Housing Committee projects at 950 Falmouth Road and the one being contemplated at 108 Commercial Street are not permitted under local zoning. They're not. So it would not make any sense from a technical analysis point of view to include them in a build-out analysis that is utilizing zoning as a parameter.
So what are they permitted under?
They're 40B projects.
Okay?
So 40B allows a developer to circumvent local zoning. I can't anticipate what a developer may or may not do
Right.
under a 40B permit.
It just felt like in your piece that you wrote, that you're saying the only way we're going to get more housing in this town is through Mashpee Commons, and we know that that's not true.
If you read my memorandum more carefully, I very clearly point out that I believe mixed-use development in all of our commercial areas is the best pathway to achieve a diversified housing stock.
Right, and that was
Mashpee Commons happens to own a significant portion of that land area, but it is not prescriptive to only that land area. In fact, I would posit that the entire C1 district should be included in that, and it would. But I was offering an analysis pursuant to the application for a development agreement we have before you. And I just want to state unequivocally.
Do we have a development agreement in front of
Ma'am,
us?
please, I just want to state this.
Yes, please.
This matters to me. It matters, and I do not try to insert opinion or be a policymaker here. I understand that's not my role. But I care intensely, and I don't know what else to say. I continue to do my best, that's all, and
Thank you, Evan.
I do not intend to malign your character. I think, my feeling was that there was something that should have been there that was omitted, and I asked if it was an oversight, and I didn't accuse you of anything, but I do think it's important. A lot of us care a lot.
it's just not the first time I've been put in this
And that's why we keep showing
position.
up
It's just
and
not the
having,
first time.
and it's not that we're opposed to any changes in Mashpee Commons. There will be changes, but we want them to be appropriate. Thank you.
Understood, but.
Right, and that's the purpose of the development agreement,
What,
right? Which
we would
hasn't.
love to see a development agreement
Well,
proposal.
there isn't even a complete application yet.
I know.
Well, we'd all love to see a development agreement. That's what we're going to be working on. The town, the commission, and the commons are going to negotiate a development agreement.
And we want to be
And-
actively engaged in that whole process of hearings and
Well,
commentary.
And you will be. And one of Evan's recommendations was the development agreement will go to town meeting for the residents to approve or not approve.
No, we want to have input
You will have
before
input.
town meeting.
You will have
Come on.
input, there'll be public comment, public
Right.
discussion, there'll be plenty of times for input into the development agreement. And then the development agreement's going to go to town meeting,
Right.
and the residents will get to vote on whether we pursue the development agreement or not.
Okay.
That's what we've said. Carol Sherman said it, I've said it, anyone on this board that's been asked has said it.
Well, I'm.
And I don't know how many times we can say it. We said it again.
I never said that we weren't not going to have a chance to vote on it. But I think that when I read your paper, Evan, it didn't seem like there was a broad enough perspective on what zoning could be, because you could have mentioned I'm not a zoning expert, what do I know about zoning? But I know that I've gone to the affordable housing things, and they're trying to do affordable housing. So my reading of your paper implied that the only way we were going to get more housing was through Mashpee Commons, and I thought that was not fair to the affordable housing people and to the town that's working on it.
Are we
Thank
having
you.
a dialogue right now?
Yeah.
That takeaway isn't completely inaccurate or unfounded. Under status quo development regulations, your takeaway that affordable housing development is really, our potential for creating affordable units under status quo development regulations is very limited. That should have been the takeaway you would have had. Under current zoning, Mashpee Commons can't produce any housing with the exception of OSID, which I enumerated in my memo, which would produce maybe at best 40 units of affordable housing. You note their Chapter 40B comprehensive permit, that's not local zoning. It is not. It wouldn't be included in my analysis because I can't predict these things. I could note it in the memorandum, but it would bear no impact on the outcome of my analysis. So that should be the takeaway you should have, is that we don't have the potential to create diversified units or affordable units under our current development regulations. That's just a fact.
Thank you. Thanks, Evan. Okay. We had said at our last meeting, we'd allow 10, 15 minutes for public comment. We've clearly gone beyond that. So thank you, everybody. That's the kind of dialogue we talked about having. I think that's appropriate and helpful. Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on with the agenda. Approval not required, Fane Gill Day. Evan, you want to fill us in on this one?
Yeah. This is somewhat of a unique one. The A&R you have before you is a building lot from an approved subdivision, 2 building lots in Sandalwood. They are still vacant because the original subdivision, you will note, pretty much gave all of the frontage for the 22 and 26 Oyster Way to adjacent properties. They don't get any of their frontage on that cul-de-sac. You can see a short, they have access from Oyster Way, but their frontage was designed to be on River Road, which is a 40-foot wide public way that's unimproved. The town did take a portion of River Road all the way up to about 300 feet or so from the boundary of 26 Oyster Way. I did go with Jack today to drive River Road, that portion. But the reason the applicant has filed for an A&R is because the A&R requires you to make a finding, A, that there's frontage on a way, on a public way, which there is on River Road, and that the access to the lot is adequate. So the reason that these 2 lots are vacant is because the definition of street itself requires that the street be approved and shown on a subdivision plan approved by the planning board, on a way laid out by the Board of Selectmen, or on a street that is found by the planning board to have adequate access to abutting property. So what the request is tonight is to endorse this A&R pursuant to the access on Oyster Way and the adequacy of River Road as frontage. Now, the standard for endorsing an A&R like this on a public way that's unimproved is the River Road of suitable width, grade, and construction for the passing of a car. So and case law is pretty broad. It really just means, can you drive a car down it? Jack and I did go down there today, and it's generally good. It's narrow, I'd say 10 to 12 feet of compacted earthen material. There's one section that is a little bit washed out and creates somewhat of a topographical challenge on, if you were to go past 26 and towards 22, I don't know exactly where on the plan, but you may be able to access that on 22 Oyster Way. It's my opinion that I think this A&R is entitled to an endorsement under the subdivision control law as an approval not required. However, I would just note that an endorsement of this plan doesn't by any means guarantee building permits for the project. It's just that it shows 150 feet or adequate frontage on River Road. River Road is of suitable width graded construction for the passing of a vehicle and has access to Oyster Way. So that's kind of the nexus of why this was before you. The adjacent property owners who had similar frontage issues on Oyster Way didn't do this process. About 10, 20 years ago, they went and got a variance for frontage from the Zoning Board of Appeals. And when someone petitions the Board of Appeals to vary frontage, I never recommend it because there's no shape, topography, or soil condition that would make that allowable. So this is the pathway, this is the regulatory pathway in the process, whereas the board can make a finding to the adequacy of the access and where the property owner could achieve building permits. So my recommendation is that this plan would be entitled to an A&R endorsement pursuant to the condition of River Road, to its status as a public way, and with its access from Oyster Way.
Thank you. Comments? Questions?
So all we're looking at is 150 feet on each lot.
Yes,
Okay.
on River Road.
Right.
Now, is it the stamp that says that we're not giving it to be a buildable lot, though?
That's right. So these lots are grandfathered pursuant to their approval by the planning board. I think it was 1973. and with the intention of utilizing River Road as the principal means of frontage, but it was never improved. So they're not able to get building permits pursuant to that fact, because things have changed. The endorsement would put the property owner in a position to get a building permit. However, they would still need to obviously comport with all of the zoning and building requirements, health requirements of the lots. So your endorsement makes no finding with regard to
Yeah, it's supposed
those
to say it on
code
the-
compliance aspects.
The plan, but not endorse it to be a buildable lot.
Yeah.
And that was my concern, Dennis, because when I looked at the lots today, in the condition they're at now, I can't see how a house could get permitted to go in there. There'd have to be some significant improvements. But as far as Evan explained, the A&R, we don't really have any leg to stand on to deny an A&R. I think we have to go forward with the A&R.
All we have to look at is 150 feet.
Yes, exactly, and that's how I looked at it.
And the way has to be, if this was a private way, it would be entitled to endorsement, but, it's there's a very broad standard for the public ways that are unimproved, and it's suitable with grade and construction to drive a car down. And case law allows a pretty broad definition of what is suitable. I am of the opinion that the way was adequate. And that's it, that's my recommendation.
Okay.
Yeah, oh no, after I could explain and I saw that all, I understood that.
So do we have a motion?
Yep, I make a motion approval not required.
Excuse me, Leanne, are we entitled to an opinion?
No, not a
No.
public hearing.
Not,
It's
this is
not
a
a,
public
it's
hearing
not a
on this.
public hearing.
The plan that you have in front of you?
Yes, it is.
Okay, was there a reason why we as butters were not notified of the
It-
specific meeting itself?
An A&R is not a public hearing, sir.
Yeah.
There's no notice for an A&R. Again, this endorsement of an A&R makes no finding, the endorsement doesn't give any approvals to do anything other than say that the way in question is adequate for access, and that's it.
I guess the access point to the two lots that you're discussing is going to be in between, it's basically going to be maybe a 10-foot driveway to going from Oyster.
That's, well, I don't want to have too much of a dialogue here, but yes, that's correct.
We made a motion.
Obviously, we live on Oyster Way, so we're
Okay.
concerned. Yeah.
How do we know?
John,
Yeah.
You know,
entitled to
Tell you
endorsement
what,
or it's not.
I will talk to you after the
And
meeting.
I would just say to anyone
Okay.
who's, I'm happy to make myself available to discuss these issues also outside of the public hearing.
Thank you. Okay, so there's a motion on the table. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi, Mary Wagon votes aye.
Yep, Mary's back.
I didn't, yeah.
Temporarily.
I don't have a Mylar, so I'll need you guys to come to my office for signature.
Okay, great, thank you.
Will do.
Okay, next on the agenda, Chairman's report. I really don't have anything. I had someone ask me a question, and so I want to ask it of Dennis and Mary. Someone approached me after our last meeting and said, asked me the question, if the Cape Cod Commission traffic analysis of the Mashpee Commons scope of work had come back and suggested that the scope of work was completely inadequate and needed to be much more robust, would your opinion of the commission's review have been different than what it is, which is, you were both, pretty critical of the commission's review?
No, not really.
Okay, so it wouldn't be any different?
No.
Okay,
I don't know about
That's-
Mary.
Yeah, I agree with Dennis.
that's good. I didn't want to answer for you, but I assumed that was the case because, of course, the professionals at the commission made a recommendation.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Evan? LCP update?
I just want to let you guys know that the contracts, we finally received a red line contract for our agreement with Weston and Sampson. Sent back to their legal team for execution. It took a little time to get it back from our own town council, so that procurement will finally be executed and completed, hopefully within the month. So more to come on the LCP update. Just want to let you guys know where that contract is at and where the procurement is.
Thank you.
And I just want to let you know where I am with regard to our last discussion on the first for consultant procurement. I'm finalizing the procurement documents to submit to the town manager relative to the motions and approvals you made at our last meeting. I hope to have that to him in his office by the end of this week. There's not a lot of meat on the bone, so it's difficult to draft a really solid RFQ, but I am working diligently to do it, and I'll get it to the boss in short order.
Thank you. Okay, committee reports, Cape Cod Commission,
No report.
Community Preservation,
The only report is that on the draft town meeting warrant that have to do with expenditures of CPA funds. So why don't I get them to you for the next meeting? Okay?
perfect, thank you. Design Review,
No meeting.
Plan Review,
No meeting.
Environmental Oversight, no meeting. Historic District Commission,
Yeah, we got one, September 21st.
come on.
Supposed to be yesterday. I showed up, nobody showed up.
We had to move it a couple of times. We're having trouble getting quorum.
But we're coming.
Excellent. All right. And the Military Civilian Advisory Council.
No meeting, this potentially have one next month.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for Jack.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Jack, I went on the tour of Joint Base Cape Cod, and they told me that you are the town's representative to the...
You're breaking up, Mary. Mary?
Mary?
Jack, I'll talk to you later. Bye.
I think Mary's asking if I have been appointed by the governor as Town of Mashpee's representative to the Environmental Oversight Committee, and that is yes.
Okay.
Okay, so you're on two committees.
No, that's the committee.
Is it a subcommittee?
Okay,
No, there's-
thank
there's-
you.
No, there's two committees there. I know what you're talking about. No, I'm only on one of them, Mary.
All right, what is the title of the exact title of the one you're on?
The one I'm on is the Civilian Advisory Council, the CAC.
Right.
For the Environmental
Yeah,
Management Commission?
that's a different one. We
Okay,
both,
thank you.
yeah, we both meet together, Mary, and then we also meet separately. I think the next
Thank
meeting
you.
they're trying to schedule like next month is for both committees to meet together.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
I got something on a new business. Have you been up to Blue Castle lately?
Up to where?
Blue Castle?
Chuck Moore, not quite having.
Blue Castle Drive.
Oh, sorry.
Castle Drive.
Haven't been up there lately, but I did send an email to the
The
applicant.
mud's all over the place. They never
There's
put
what, I'm sorry?
all the,
Mud everywhere.
the mud.
Oh.
The silt.
Out to the grass.
Two of the catch basins, the cloth they put on fell right through.
So he needs to maintain it.
Yeah, but, and.
I'll reach out to
Big
him.
gullies in it. And when it was all filled up, it looked like the muddy river. There was so much silt in that water, so it has to be going, all that silt be going into the drain system.
Yeah,
And he does nothing.
my common,
I had Ed go check that out.
he did follow up and put filter fabric in all the catch basins, but there's
He
nothing,
did.
he hasn't done anything else.
But they fell through, because I go up there all the time when it rained.
Okay,
And two of them fell through, and two of them, I don't know how they're working, there was all mud all over them.
right, big mud puddle because they're working, that's why it's a big puddle there, but still, now that that's happened, and that's the part I don't like about filter fabric, because they don't usually leave enough, silt sacks are the best
Yeah,
thing.
so the weight pushes it
Right.
down.
Before he closes out the subdivision, I will require for my punch list inspection that all the catch basins be pumped out,
Good. Good.
so that the system starts fresh.
Yeah.
The way it was designed. So that's commonly what I do.
don't know why he piled the big
But I'll
pile of
I'll reach
dirt.
out to him and tell him that I got feedback from the board that he needs to continue to do his erosion control. I've asked him to seed some of the detention basin areas, and now's the time to do that. And I should reach out to him and say, are you planning to do this anytime soon?
There's so much sand, seed ain't gonna take right. They gotta put some loam or something down.
Yeah.
But Dennis, we need to find you a better hobby on a rainy day than going to
Yeah,
the
but
skate.
really.
Puddle jumping.
Hey, another question, Evan.
Oh, jeez.
The road from where the developer stops down to Ernie Virgilio's, was that contractor supposed to maintain them? Because I see some big holes starting to get rid of
I would
it.
have to review his obligation.
we
I think
had-
there is an annual maintenance requirement for that material that was put there. I would have to refer to the special permit decision to provide a definitive response, but I think so.
I think it was,
I think until the homeowners association is up and running and the maintenance obligations fall to those property owners, it would fall on the developer to maintain it. But let me confirm and I'll follow up with Ed and we'll do our best with the developer. He is,
'Cause right now, it's easy to fix the little things, but if they let it go, it's gonna be bigger and bigger, and then
yeah, we're definitely aware and I'll follow up with you with specifics, but
Is that Jacques Morin too?
yes.
Yeah.
I will send him the email that I sent him before, saying, I need an update, and oh, by the way, I got comments that some of the filter fabric has gone through and everything needs to be repaired, so I need to make a visit down to New Seabury. What I usually did was, on my way to do New Seabury, I would take a flyby in there.
good.
And,
It's not even little, it's obvious they've failed.
yeah, okay.
As far as this-
So it's been a while. They put down binder pavement for the New Seabury project on 90% of the site. And they've been pretty good about calling me Kevin Mahoney, about when they're working and when they need inspections. And he knows when I need to do that. I've worked with him before. So, but every time I go down to New Seabury, I say, well, I'm gonna go take a right at Ernie Vigilio's house and just go down the street and see what it looks like.
Yeah, that's it.
And that, the last time I sent them email saying, I'd like to get you to work on this. This is something we've been talking about before. So I'll probably have to just call him. Email doesn't seem to be responsive.
No, he's more of a call guy, yeah.
I'm sorry?
He's more of a call guy,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, anything else?
Nope. I make a motion, we adjourn?
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very
Aye,
much.
Mary Wigan votes aye. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.